For the last couple of weeks on our social media pages, I've been saying that we've got two big announcements to make, and today I'm going to make those announcements about the future of Pleasure Beach Experience. So hello, thank you for choosing to watch us today, and I hope you had a great Christmas. The first thing I have to announce today is that from 2023 onwards, Pleasure Beach Experience will no longer be running Club Pleasure Beach, which is the official supporters club of Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Club Pleasure Beach isn't something that I often talk about on this channel, so I'm just going to give a little bit of a brief background about what Club Pleasure Beach is. Club Pleasure Beach was formed in the early 1990s ahead of the Big One opening. It was a way of gathering enthusiasts and fans of Blackpool Pleasure Beach to come together to celebrate the opening of the Big One, which at the time was going to be the world's tallest roller coaster when it opened. Club Pleasure Beach, or as it was called then, the 235 Club, was set up by Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and it was a way of trying to be the first riders on the Big One when it did open. From there, the club was so popular that Blackpool Pleasure Beach decided to carry on with it. They ran events, including behind-the-scenes tours, ERTs, roller coaster walks, and eventually the club was handed on to the fans to be run by the fans for the fans of Blackpool Pleasure Beach. The way that the club was run was that the members of the club would elect a new chairman every couple of years. As far as I know, the person that ran Club Pleasure Beach for the longest was Greg Pern, who eventually handed Club Pleasure Beach to me in 2012. In 2012, when Greg messaged me and said, "Would you be interested in running Club Pleasure Beach?" I took the opportunity with both hands. It was something, as a Blackpool Pleasure Beach fan, I simply could not turn down. The only concern I had at the time was, well, where does it leave Pleasure Beach Experience? Because Pleasure Beach Experience had been in existence since 2009, and I didn't want to give up on doing Pleasure Beach Experience because we'd started to build a really good community of Blackpool Pleasure Beach fans on the forum and on social media. And I was thinking, well, I don't want to lose one, but I want to do the other. So the best option was to merge both. So we've been running Club Pleasure Beach through Pleasure Beach Experience since July 2012. And for me, it has been an incredible experience. There's been opportunities at Blackpool Pleasure Beach that I never thought I'd get. Things like walking through the Ghost Train, walking through Alice in Wonderland, walking through Wallace and Gromit's Thrill-O-Matic, behind the scenes tours of Valhalla, maintenance workshop tours, and so many incredible opportunities at Blackpool Pleasure Beach have come through running Club Pleasure Beach and doing the events at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. But as well as doing the events, there's also been the working relationship with Blackpool Pleasure Beach over the last 10 years, which it's been great because there's been opportunities to get involved with things like when Skyforce was opening, Pleasure Beach allowed us to be the first page to announce it on social media, which for me was a big thing at the time. And then when Icon was being built, we were quite often invited into the park to check out how the construction phases were going, especially when all the groundwork was first being done in 2016. That was really good to have a walk through the park and go and have a look at the groundwork, and then again in 2017, and then again in 2018 when the construction was ongoing and we got to go and have a look at it, and we got to talk to the Pleasure Beach's marketing teams about the media day, and we bounced ideas off each other. And whilst we had no final say on anything, it was just nice to actually be asked, what do you think of this? Would this be a good idea? Would this work? And then when Icon's Media Day came around, we did a lot of media stuff with Pleasure Beach. We did interviews for the telly, for the radio, and it was nice to just feel part of, in a way it felt like we were part of the Pleasure Beach family, especially on Icon Media Day. And then on Icon's opening day, we were again asked to help out on something where me and Mike were up at, I think we were at Blackpool Pleasure Beach's gates for 6 AM, and we met Robert from Sales and Marketing, the Director of Sales and Marketing. He met us there, 6 o'clock. We went into the Funshine Club, we had breakfast, and then we met Radio Wave and did an interview with Radio Wave, and went on Icon at some silly time in the morning before it opened to the park on its opening day. And it's just all stuff like that has come through doing Club Pleasure Beach, and taking on the responsibility of doing Club Pleasure Beach is something I'll never regret, and it's something that I'll always be grateful to Greg and to everyone at Pleasure Beach that allowed it to happen in 2012. and it's something that I'll always look back on fondly, always. Moving on to today's second announcement, and this one is definitely the most significant announcement I've ever made on Pleasure Beach Experience. Pleasure Beach Experience is rebranding for 2023 onwards. Why are we doing this? Well, let's go back to what Pleasure Beach Experience was when it started and sort of talk through why I feel like it's the right time to make this rebranding decision. Pleasure Beach Experience was formed in May 2009 as a fans forum, just somewhere for Blackpool Pleasure Beach fans to log on, chat about new ride rumours, chat about ride removal rumours, chat about everything that was going on about Blackpool Pleasure Beach. And there's always something to talk about Blackpool Pleasure Beach. And I felt like there needed to be a dedicated Blackpool Pleasure Beach fans forum that people could come online and just talk about the park, share their photos, share their experiences, just to talk about Blackpool Pleasure Beach. I had been involved with another Blackpool Pleasure Beach site for a long time previous, but that site was coming to an end. They were making lots of changes, and it was just time to move away from it, start something new, start a new Blackpool Pleasure Beach community, let's say, and go from there. And when I started it, I didn't think that we'd ever have a YouTube channel. I didn't think that it'd become what it is now. It wasn't really something I thought I'd go on for very long. It was just something to do between when I finished college and when I was starting my first proper job. And it was just something to do that summer. And it just grew and grew and grew as a Pleasure Beach community. It was a place where Blackpool Pleasure Beach fans came to talk about Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and it became more than a forum. It became a Facebook page, it became a Twitter page, but the Facebook page especially, from like the middle of 2011, the Facebook page really grew in numbers, where I probably used that as our main platform at the time. And then at the end of 2011, I remember putting a message out there saying, is anyone interested in Pleasure Beach Experience hiring out the big one for an hour? There was lots of people that emailed in and said, we absolutely want to do this. So that's why at the start of 2012, I went to Blackpool Pleasure Beach and said, look, I want to take over the big one for an hour. And the guy, Michael, who I spoke to at the time, he was like, are you mad? I was like, no, we're just roller coaster geeks. It's what we do. And he was like, right, okay then. And it went from there, to be honest. But it wasn't actually the first time I'd arranged an exclusive ride time session at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. We'd done one in 2008 through the old Blackpool Pleasure Beach website. So I knew it could be done, and I was determined to do it through Pleasure Beach Experience as well. So when that was organised, we got the minimum numbers that Blackpool Pleasure Beach required us to have to make that event happen. And that's where the Club Pleasure Beach stuff came into it, I think, because at the time of Club Pleasure Beach going through its changes, we were starting to have events at Blackpool Pleasure Beach like the Big One ERT session. And I think that it was a perfect timing, really. And from there, that's really where Pleasure Beach Experience started to grow, because as a combination of being a Blackpool Pleasure Beach fan community and Club Pleasure Beach, the site started to grow more and more on Facebook, on Twitter, on the forum. And then it was like, well, we need a YouTube channel. So we started a YouTube channel in late 2012, but I didn't actually start uploading to it very often at all until 2016. The channel that I'm currently using now to put this video out there was literally used for one upload every 3 or 4 months to advertise the events we're doing at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. It was only when I got cancer in 2015 and I needed to kill some time that I thought, well, I've been filming at Blackpool Pleasure Beach for all these years. Why don't I start making some videos, put them on Pleasure Beach Experience YouTube? It'll help pass time. It'll help pass time after operations. It'll help pass time whilst in the hospital having chemo. And that's how this channel grew, because I was bored during cancer recovery that I just started putting videos on the channel, and then as with a lot of channels that start fresh, like we were doing at that time, people start saying, well, you're going to do vlogs, you're going to do a face reveal, you're going to do top 10s. And then it was from 2016, we started doing the Icon, or we didn't know what it was called then, so we were just doing new roller coaster rumoured videos when all the groundwork was going on at the Pleasure Beach. And then obviously it was called Construction 18, so we carried on with the rumours and hype and all that, and that went on all through 2017. And then late 2016, around August time, we started doing the vlogs. They were terrible. You won't find any of them on the channel, I'm afraid. They're all banished to the PBE archive because they were dreadful. I'm afraid that includes one of Mike dancing on the rapids, Portaventura, 3 AM. Good times though. 2017, we did a lot of vlogs, and we realised that YouTube was perhaps the way to go. So the forum was removed, which is what Pleasure Beach Experience was originally built on. But the forum, we got rid of that. We concentrated on YouTube and Facebook the most. Didn't really bother with Twitter that much. And then as YouTube started to grow, Pleasure Beach Experience events started to grow. And I think that this channel has definitely helped the growth of Pleasure Beach Experience as a whole community, let's say. But going back to its roots, it was all about Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Pleasure Beach Experience is no longer all about Blackpool Pleasure Beach. It hasn't been all about Blackpool Pleasure Beach since about 2017. But with each year going, up until COVID, we were going more and more and more away from being just a Blackpool Pleasure Beach site, and we're doing more and more and more at other parks as well, including attending the Wicker Man press events, including going to press events at Fort Park. And it was like, we might have to rebrand soon. And in 2019, me, Becca, Mike, Mark, we all sat there and went, we're gonna have to give it a new name. We're gonna have to think of a new name. And the plan was to rebrand at the end of 2020. But we all know what happened in 2020. Travel was restricted. We couldn't travel. We couldn't go anywhere. We were locked down. So it was like, well, we're going to have to go back to our roots. We're going to have to go back to being a Blackpool Pleasure Beach dedicated place on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. Yes, we'll still go to other parks, but it will be back to being more about Pleasure Beach. And that was very much how it went in 2020, 2021. And then this year we've gone back to kind of how it was in 2019, where we cover a lot more than just Blackpool Pleasure Beach. And I think the time is now right for us to take Pleasure Beach out of Pleasure Beach Experience. Rebranding Pleasure Beach Experience has not been an easy decision, but we feel that it is the right decision and the right time to do it. It has been something that we've discussed for a long time now. Like I say, we were first talking about it in 2019. We've even spoken to Blackpool Pleasure Beach about this a couple of times. We even spoke to them about it in 2017 and 2019, and again recently. A couple of times this year we've spoken to them about it and said we are considering it. And that's the main reason why we're not doing Club Pleasure Beach anymore, because not being Pleasure Beach Experience, it would feel a little bit wrong to still keep running Club Pleasure Beach. So what does this mean for content on this channel going forward? Well, to be honest, not a lot's going to change, because we've all still got Blackpool Pleasure Beach season passes. We're still going to be doing Blackpool Pleasure Beach videos. We still very much want to work with Blackpool Pleasure Beach. And as far as I know, Blackpool Pleasure Beach are still interested in working with us. As far as events go, we've already started planning events for 2023. Our Alton Towers event is already on sale, which is actually booked under the Pleasure Beach Experience name. So technically speaking, that will be the last ever Pleasure Beach Experience event before the events are done under the new name. We are still hoping to do a Blackpool Pleasure Beach event in 2023. We have spoken to Blackpool Pleasure Beach about this at length already, as well as working with Blackpool Pleasure Beach in 2023 on a couple of different video ideas. So this channel will still have a lot of Blackpool Pleasure Beach focus. There will still be things like Big One track removal videos, off-season videos, ride testing videos, Pleasure Beach vlogs. There's still going to be, I've got I've started to plan the content for 2023 quite early, and there's a big list of Blackpool Pleasure Beach videos that I want to film again, because there's similar videos on the channel already, but they need updating, and there's new ideas that we've never done at Pleasure Beach that I want to do. So there's a big list of Blackpool Pleasure Beach videos that we're going to be doing, but there's also a lot of ideas at other parks as well that we will now be able to do because we don't have Pleasure Beach in the name. So to bring this to a close, it's a tough decision, but we feel that it is the right decision. We do hope that if you are a Blackpool Pleasure Beach fan, that you will stick with us, because like I say, there will still be a lot of Blackpool Pleasure Beach footage on this channel, whether it be vlogs, narrated videos, ride videos, park footage, reviews. There will be loads of Blackpool Pleasure Beach content alongside all of the other stuff we've got planned. Now, as for the new name, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to wait a couple more days. The new name and a new logo will be revealed on the 1st of January 2023, and then the changes on this channel will come into effect a couple of days after that, to just make sure that everyone has a chance to either watch this video, the new logo video, or see on social media that we are rebranding. And I don't want to just do this video and then be like, right, everything's changing. It needs to be a bit of a transitional period over a couple of, probably 2 weeks, where we've done this video, we then announced the new name and the new logo, then a couple of days after that we make the changes on our social media platform, so it's not just one day with Pleasure Beach Experience and the next day we are the new name. I don't want to do that. I want to give everyone a chance to see that these changes are happening before they happen. So that's all from me today. If you have been part of Pleasure Beach Experience from 2009 to 2022 at any point, then thank you. I very much appreciate it. We're not going anywhere. Still the same people, similar content, just hopefully better, just under a different name. So yeah, that brings us to the end of today's video. Please give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It really does help the channel, either way. Many thanks for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in the next video.